What happens when the woman who helped build Hollywood's magic suddenly loses herself behind the scenes of her own life? Today on From Wounds to Wisdom, Gina Cavalier shares the moment everything fell apart and the spiritual journey that brought her back to the truth of who she is. Let's dive in.
Back in 2019, I was very suicidal. I was working in the entertainment industry. I had a couple really big falls in my career. Personally, I was giving the money away because I was planning on leaving the planet. I was really forgetting to take care of myself in the form of mental health.
Welcome. Today on From Wounds to Wisdom, I am honored to welcome Gina Cavalier, a true creative force and multidimensional healer with a prolific career as an entertainment executive behind high-profile projects at Warner Brothers, Disney, Netflix, and more. Gina has expanded her impact through storytelling, product innovation, and deep spiritual work. She's an author, artist, producer, speaker, and inventor who uses media and mindfulness to uplift communities and support emotional healing. This conversation is a deep dive into purpose, creativity, and transforming pain into powerful service. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is feeling the good vibes today. And if not, sending you out a big hug and hoping we can get there together.
Well, a lot of big names in your bio and who you are and all of that. Can you kind of give us an idea how you went from the corporate world into what you do now?
Well, I had a very traumatic childhood, but I really was a fighter and I wanted to prove to myself that I could achieve my dreams. So I was a workaholic, overachiever, and I achieved a lot. I started working at Disney when I was 19 years old. Worked two jobs, just constantly pushing myself and loving everything and everyone around me. Getting to work on some of the biggest projects in the world, like Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts. I helped create, Wedding Crashers, all kinds of different really amazing projects. But in the background, I was really forgetting to take care of myself in the form of mental health, loving myself, and I crashed. I crashed really hard when I had a couple of traumatic experiences come into my life through the divorces or situations at work. And it really took me down a self-pity route. And my old wounds as a child came back and, it became very dangerous, but I was afraid to express them to anyone else until I decided I have to heal this. This is more important than any work or project or anything I could ever, put myself into. And I did a deep spiritual dive, very, whether, to me, it's like either it doesn't have to be spiritual. It could just be, practices of loving yourself. But for me, it was a big portion of that, and just went in and went hard and rode the roller coaster of healing, still riding the roller coaster of healing, and achieved some of the things that I thought I never would, which was getting 2 publishing deals, now writing a fictional series very akin to like a Harry Potter, speaking to a producer today about maybe creating that. And that's what I always wanted to do. I'm a creator, and I always found that creating is hard. It is much harder to build a building than it is to knock it down.
Right.
Destroy things is easy. To kick people in the face is easy. To kick around, but to create and to constantly be into that creative and then that unconditional love, it's hard, and it takes a practice. So I work on it.
So many things that you said I love, right? So I love the being a creator is hard because it's absolutely one of the hardest things to do. There's a lot of people in the world who want to create, but I think because we turn off that creativity when we don't honor ourselves and all of those different things, we actually find that we're mimicking others versus creating. And we call that creator, right? Like even content stuff, right? So there's so many, even in like Hollywood, you can see movies and then you're like, oh, I've seen this movie like 15 times before because they're just remaking movies because there's no new creative stuff coming in, right? I see you're like holding your heart because is this
Well,
coming
I'm
true?
laughing because I literally have a meeting with one of the top producers in Hollywood today about my book that I co-authored with Jeanette DePatty. And it's a 5-book series. It's like Harry Potter. And I went and looked at all the movies that are coming out with the studios for the next 6-7 years. They list them all out, and every one of them is like a remake of the TV shows that we saw as kids. And Hollywood is going through an influx, and we're all recognizing that. We get to, we watch a movie, we put our heart into it, and then all of a sudden it just flatlines out and it's gone, or it's repetitive. And the industry is going through a shakeup right now, but we just need to let creatives come back in. They're working off of fear, we have to recreate something that worked because we have to have a win,
Right.
instead of falling into what their role originally was to be storytelling to help people dream. And this storytelling is something that has been a part of our ancestors from the beginning of time. It's never going away. But we have to go back to that simplicityness, that heart, that open heartness of it, and let creators create, even if they haven't had a win yet.
Right. Yesterday and today, I was saying, what if I just stop putting like a number or an expectation to things, right? What if I stop qualifying my work by how much I make? What if I stop stepping on a scale and deciding my worthiness by how much I weigh? What if I just stop, right? Like, what's going to happen? You think like the world's going to fall apart, but I think that when you just stop, you actually get just to simply be who you are, allow the creativity to come in, because we are so closed to our creativity because there's so much, like, you're told you have to make this amount of money, your worth is defined by your success, you have to look a certain way, you have to weigh a certain amount, all of these things we're told we have to do. And it's kind of like what you were talking about in the movies. They can't be creative because they have to earn a certain amount of money, right? That movie has to hit #1 in the box office every single time. It's like, how is that supposed to happen? Like, there's just some movies that aren't going to hit #1, but maybe their story's amazing, you know?
And if they actually went and been more authentic with their creativity, people would feel it more, because especially children, I mean, they can see the manipulation, the formulaic, and the uncaring characterization so quickly, right? And then
Yeah.
they just get bored with it and be done with it, and then it's over. So I just think going back to that authentic place. And if you look at filmmakers that we just loved back in the day, I mean, studios used to find a creative spirit, and we used to let them create, like Stanley Kubrick or whatever. He used to get carte blanche, like, be creative. Oliver Stone, they don't do that anymore. So letting creators be creative is going to be like such a huge win if we ever get there. You have to stick to what you believe in and not let those, I call them judgments and criticisms. And something that we also need to monitor how we do to other people.
Right.
And it can be really hard. It could be small things. We don't realize how much that's dampening us. And I've really worked really hard. Is like, why am I judging that thing or that person? And I reel myself back in. I throw them love instead, and then I move on my way. But that's been a practice.
Yeah, it's definitely a practice. We do it to our spouses or our partners. The financial part of a relationship breaks up so many relationships, because it's like they're not good enough, they're not making enough money, or maybe you're not good enough, you're not making enough money, or together we're not making enough money, or we're always qualifying people by the quantity that they can offer to us. And I really think that you see that just the same, like you said, in Hollywood, in the movies and the TV shows. When you were talking, it reminded me of that show Frasier. I don't know if you ever watched Frasier. They had the best episodes until the staff, some of them passed away on a plane crash, and then it went to like a generic writing crew who didn't have like the same creativity, and you just saw the show like go downhill. It used to be this like fun, amazing, it's like George Carlin, right? He just says whatever it is that he wants, and those people who are free to be who they are the people who have made such amazing things in our life. And then we have all these restrictions, and then it shuts us down, and then we can't be who we want to be because we feel like we have to fit into this box that we're told is where we're supposed to live.
Absolutely. And the industry is going through a transformation, just like all industries are. And people aren't talking about it that much. The Variety does a couple pieces about it right now. They're embarrassed. Like, Detroit lost all of its car making capabilities. And we're in the same thing with the Hollywood right now. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people out of work and have been out of work for years, and they're not filming there anymore. You'll see it in your product, in your shows. I just think that storytelling is magical, and it is a part of being a human. We love it. We see things in visual art, and we just need to, I think the answer is to let people go back and be creative and to support those people, put money behind those people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and we go back to this, like, I think that the creativity is lost when there's expectations, but also when there's judgment, right? Because everybody wants to have an opinion about everything. And so if you put something out there that's original, you're going to get both sides of it. You're going to get people who get it, and then you're going to get the people who just absolutely hate it and then just say like really nasty things about it. And my feeling about it is if you don't get it, cool. But there are people who will get it, right? And if you don't like it, go somewhere else. You don't have to like every single movie. You don't have to like every single song. You don't have to like every single book, but just let people be. Tell us about your book, and I want to talk about while we're on here, you have so much on your plate. You came from a world of being an overachiever, which I understand that 100% overachieving is basically trying to prove your worth, right? Somewhere in your life you didn't feel worthy, and so it's like if I overachieve and I prove to everybody how good I am, then I will then at some point feel worthy, or I will feel enough at that point, which you never do because you're looking for it externally. So I know you wrote a book. I know that you are busy, but are you busy as an overachiever, or are you busy being you? You know what I mean?
Oh gosh, I'm busy just inventing and creating. So back in 2019, I was very suicidal. I was working in the entertainment industry. I had a couple really big falls in my career, personally. And I didn't want to be here anymore, but I had accumulated, a good amount of money, equity in my home, almost like $700,000. And I didn't want to I was like, wow, I just don't want to like lose that or that to go to nobody, because I didn't get to have kids, and I don't have people to leave that to. So I sold my home and I started paying off people's bills. Just rented a place in Hollywood Hills, and I had a big birthday party, and I would, pay my friends' vet bills, my friends' legal bills. I was giving the money away because I was planning on leaving the planet, and nobody knew it.
Nobody questioned that. Like they weren't like, how come you sold your home and you're just spending all your money? Like kind of a red flag.
No, but what was so beautiful in it was sort of the letting go of the home ownership and that whole thing that I needed to be that woman that owned this and had those things and the ability to do that stuff. I honestly, that whole journey made me fall in love with myself. It made me release the power of money over my soul.
Right. Right.
And it really owns us sometimes. It can last a lifetime, where it's like that $1, that thing, and I released money. I was like, you mean nothing to me, in a way. It really does, of course it does, but I had to reform my relationship with money as well, and I did that, and I literally gave away all my money, and I'm still currently rebuilding my life. I have a day job now, where I go to all the time, and I'm working with a bunch of 25-year-olds, and I don't see it as a negative at all. I'm learning new things. I'm meeting new people. It's something I could put in my toolkit. I'm proud of myself for just staying in the positive and having this opportunity. And at night, I still write and work on my things. And I have a lot more energy because I manage my energy. I have more space to create because I really manage where I'm putting all my energy, right? That's what we were talking about earlier. It's, getting up. Am I going to sit there and watch negative stuff over Instagram and Facebook and the news? And I touch base on it just to know what's going on in the world, but then I leave it. Like things that I'm going to put all my energy into things I cannot control or have say in. My first book, I was so proud to get published because I didn't really have a college degree, and everybody kind of told me I was never going to like get a publishing deal, but I did. And that was talked about me having suicidal tendencies and then healing from that. And I have 2 book deals, and then my other book coming out in January called Planet Walking, a handbook for the living. And I wrote that book in 7 weeks, 70,000 words. I did probably 15 illustrations, also an illustrator in art. I've published over 100 black and white illustrations in magazines and books. So I'm continuing that. I'm doing an art show next week. I realized artwork was a way for me to channel my pain.
Yeah.
And I used to just think they were doodles, but then people wanted to buy them. So,
do you notice when you channel it, it comes out and it's like this beautiful piece, but then as soon as there's a dollar amount put on it and a pressure to do it, it seems like it changes?
not for me. because when I do art, I literally zone in, I tunnel vision. And
Mhm.
when I do a piece of art, I don't stop until it's done. And I'll stay up all night long if I have to. And I never touch it again.
Yeah.
So I just execute it and then I'm done with it. And then I just put it out in the world. I've been lucky with the art. That's what I do. Just the writing. The writing is where my mind goes. What are they going to think about that? And because I have a literary agent now, and then I'm so nervous when she comes back with like, I have a few notes, and it's just that whole, it comes
It's
over
like
you.
a personal judgment, right? Like, am I like it comes back as a personal thing versus like it's the book. It's not you. So her
Yeah.
comments aren't about you as a person. It's just about the words in the book or the flow of the book or the case may be. I want to go back to the suicide thing because one thing that I have learned in my journey and one thing that I've learned by all the people I've talked to is that when we oftentimes, not everybody, but oftentimes when you come from a hard childhood, one that has trauma, abuse, whatever the case may be, it's actually a go-to to think about suicide. It's literally a go-to. It's like a coping mechanism. It's like, I can't do this anymore. I've already endured so much and I just have nothing left to give the world. And so I love what you said about tools. I always talk about, I don't believe anybody's ever quote unquote healed. I believe that we're on a journey. And as you develop more tools and you add them to your toolbox, then when things come up that you've had come up in the past, you simply have more tools to use, right? So like with your ideation of like having like a suicide thing a few weeks ago or whatever, you weren't going to commit suicide. Your brain just defaulted back to a thought that, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. But you then used your tools from your toolbox that you taught yourself or that you learned and got out of it. And that's perfectly normal, okay, and a beautiful process, right? Because
Yeah.
now the next time that comes up, because if that's your default, it's going to come up sometime, right?
Yeah.
You know that you have the tools to move forward out of that.
And yes, and my biggest thing is I didn't know I didn't love myself. I
Mm.
thought I liked myself, but I didn't. And the way that you can tell, and so it's learning how to fall back in love with yourself. I love my husband, my friends, my job, my projects, and then inside I would talk to myself like I was a POS, a terrible person. And I knew in my heart, I go, I'm a good person. I try, I'm kind, I have great qualities that I am admire even about myself. But why do I let this isn't love? The way
Right.
talking to the way this brain is talking to myself right now, that's not love. So it was falling back in love with myself. My mom even makes fun of me now. She's like, you married yourself. And I was like, yeah, I kind of did. That's how much I love myself now. I mean, so even though I had that bad moment, I still was in love with myself. I still honored myself. And I'm like, I'm in pain. I just tired, and I want to leave because, I want this suffering to go. And it does go. That's the
Mhm.
thing, is that you will transform that momentary pain. And
Right.
in those moments, we want people to know to this. Jordan Peterson actually said that, because I've, obviously listened to a lot of conversations about this topic. And he said one thing, he said, can you just wait one more day?
Yes. That's what I
And
wish the message would be for people who are in that state.
yeah,
Just wait one more day. And then if the next day isn't great, wait one more day. But
yeah.
just give yourself the time because at some point, it will get better.
And the energy, that really dark energy, though, like in this book here that I have, this surviving suicidal ideation that I co-wrote with Dr. Amelia Kelly, we put the stages in there. So that was like, say, a stage 5 where you're like, oh my God, I really want to go, you can wake up and be at stage 1,
Yeah.
or not at all in any stage. So yeah, you have to kind of like know where you are and manage yourself a little bit,
And you can wake up and be at stage 5.
yeah.
You might have just been, pushing along and not taking care of yourself and not honoring yourself and just overdoing it and living in a world that doesn't honor you, or maybe you're doing work that doesn't honor you, or whatever the case may be. And then you wake up and you're like one day, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to get out of bed. Like, I just simply don't want to do it. And again, I want people to remember everybody goes through those days. everybody. There is not a single person in the world who has woken up every single day of their life and went, "Oh my God, this is like the best thing ever."
Yeah.
Even what we call like spiritual leaders, like Gandhi and all of those different people, they talk about the times in their life where they were at a point where they did not want to live anymore. We
Yeah.
all go through it, and some people to more extremes because of our past, but just give yourself, like you said, give yourself one more moment, give yourself one more day. Use tools, learn tools from other people who have gone through it, like you, like myself, that we're offering to the world so we know that you're not alone.
I heard a thing about Buddha, which I didn't know much about Buddha before. They said, well, what did Buddha learn? Like he learned how to find the light in the dark.
Yep.
And that really stuck with me because, even if say you go in a dark situation, it could be you had a car accident or a breakup or a job loss, and it feels dark.
Right.
What is that light why is that? What's the driving force? Maybe it's there for you to get you out of that position or away from that person, or, and it's hard to do that in the moment because all the old storylines start to come up, like you said, I'm unworthy, I don't deserve this or whatever. But maybe that person isn't for you. Maybe this is something to help you go to the next phase and
Exactly.
look behind you and go, thank goodness I'm not with that person anymore, or in that job anymore, or or I accident woke me. That's why people talk about near-death experiences and like, oh my, my whole life changed after that, because they wake up a different version of themselves with that experience behind them and realize that they have something to do here, that it's important, whatever it is, to walk with, every day I try to say what excites me the most with what I can do. Like I have
Yeah.
2 hours left. I have to work all these other hours. What I'm going to do with those 2 hours that is going to really lighten up my spirit and put a smile on my face and make me feel light right now. And I'll find something, whether it's drawing or listening to a speaker that really inspires me, meditating. Sometimes it's just being quiet, going shopping. What is it going to do? Sometimes you need to do all of it.
Yep. And there's that quote that says comparison is the thief of joy. And oftentimes when I get into a space where my head's kind of spinning, that will pop into my mind because almost always it's the comparison thing, right? Like I'm not doing enough, I'm not making enough, I'm not blah, 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 blah. My best friend from high school told me that one time. And I was like, wow, like what a big thought, because it's almost always you're comparing. It's almost always some sort of comparison.
Well, the suicidal rates for the youth are just skyrocketing worldwide. And a lot of it, and exactly, you just hit it, is about comparison. They see what other people's have, and they got filters, and they just say, oh, I'll never get there. And the youth, even people in their 20s and 30s that I talk to, still is like, oh, I'm never going to have that, like that person.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you got to pull yourself out of that, and
Because it's not real anyways. Like
no.
nobody puts their crap moments out there. Very few people, right? Like no, they don't show up and like their hair's in a ponytail from waking up in the morning and they look like crap and then they get on camera and they're like, today I feel like shit. Like they always put these like stories out there that's like 1% of their life, and that's what we're comparing ourselves to.
And I'll see people, because I'm an artist, I'm like, somebody who it looks absolutely not like anybody that you would think is quote unquote typically attractive, and I think they're the most fascinating person in the world. Maybe just a real big nose, or like I'm like, oh my god, they're beautiful.
They're beautiful.
But
Yeah.
because we're falling in line with that type of world, we're creating the world that we want our children to see. And so as an adult, even though I don't have children, I find it's very responsible. That's why the projects I work on and what I put out, I want that, like even my it's called Thomas Fine and Mystery School, and we have 5 books scheduled. We have the first book written, and that's who we're meeting with producer on. And it's a whole underwater school, and it's like we do have diversity. And even though people say, oh, diversity is this and that, it's like the world is made, we're all diverse. I mean,
Right.
it was always here.
You just have to tap
We
into
have
it.
we have the gamut of diversity in this world, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, I love that. So let's wrap up and give me 2 things.
Okay.
One, what is your wisdom that you can offer to the people who are listening today? And then 2, how can they find you?
Sorry, I'm just taking a moment.
Yes, good.
I wrote this down when I was about 9 years old, this line, and I love it. And I didn't understand it until now. You are the joy that nothing else is. You are the joy that nothing else is. Joy, the word joy. Hold on to that word joy and feel it. It's such a beautiful word, and know that that is what you really are at your core.
Right.
My name is Gina Cavalier, ginacavalier.com. I'm all over Instagram, Facebook, anywhere else. I have a YouTube channel, Gina Cavalier, Gina Cavalier, Gina Cavalier. I'm everywhere, Amazon, and you'll find all kinds of ways to connect with me. I respond to every single person. I really want people to have joy in their heart, to be creative and move towards their highest excitement, and to unconditionally love yourself first, and then everyone else.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I will put some of your contact information in our description, and then they can just go from there to find more information about you. But we look forward to your book series coming out. We look forward to all of the beautiful creative things that you're doing, and we're so grateful for
And
you
I'm so
coming.
grateful for your time and energy and letting me have this moment. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Barbie.
If this story spoke to you, let's keep the healing going. Visit barbiemoreno.com for my online course, Awakening Your Worth and Healing Energy sessions, one-on-one coaching, and your free healing guide. Your next step is waiting.